H&L presents The Age of Medonia, the Firbean campaign, 6th act, the final clash. Kyra uses her powers to walk time and space for one last time, to summon all the Firbean forces on the planet to the front of the city walls and all their opponents on the opposite side for one final clash. By this time, Sim had arrived with the Silver Excellence 1 and 2 ships. Boha Air was on the second ship, and the first winter ship Sim was on. The goal was to attack the ships as they provide cover fire for the Allies. And so, Kara, floating and levitating in front of our forces, gave orders to charge, and the Allies that remained followed suit. The final clash and the final destruction, hopefully of the Firbean, and the final destruction of countless others on the other side was about to begin. Boa Air, commanding the laser ships that he had built, the laser on the ships which he had built, to fire upon the oncoming enemy and strong opponents. Strong, big, giant opponents to help the allies out that were being slaughtered and massacred by the elite forces. Saw that a large contingent of troops were on their way, jumping towards the ships, and so Baha Hill would jump out of the ship with his big gun blaster to push back on the oncoming enemy, blasting them to infinity, and a large explosion occurred. Sim, who had plans long after this war, was proud that Boha Air jumped out of the ship. He did not have to kill him. Now the Battalion forces did not even have to go down on the ground. They could stay in their ship and help their allies. Their allies for now, that is. Boha Air arrived on the ground, shooting and more shooting. Leno was slicing people and attacking them with his laser beams that he had propelled from his small android that levitated upon his head. The two were now back to back, fighting off as many enemies as possible. And the two said to each other, Leno said to him, "Go ahead, get to the ground. Why? Why didn't you stay at the ship? This is my final battle." And Leno said, "Nani? Yes. I sense my death is here. We've all been brought back again and again, but this time for this purpose. The Firbean has to fall today. If they survive this battle, there will be no future for the universe. Leno, I entrust you to watch over ensuring for me." And Leno said, "I'm not gonna let you die here." Boaz says, "My time has come regardless if I die here or not. Master King Color and our Lord King Colors have all accepted this fate long before this battle, but left you in the dark because you have a future task ahead of you. God, the children of Sama will bear the future of ensuring after all." Leno was stunned, but he did not know this. But still, he carried on, and he pressed on. Despite it all troops from multiple sides were dying out. Still, this did not deter the enemy forces. But Sim had a personal grudge against Jamie, who tried to seduce his aunt right in front of him during the Second Great War. So he commanded his ship to fight directly at Jamie with his trained troops. Jamie sensed something was wrong, and then the big cannon fire launched straight towards Jamie. Jamie was stunned. "I can't let my good looks fall to that thing." And so he tried to run, but he could not outrun it. And then Jamie died a very, very painful death. As the battle continued on fiercely, dozens of troops died, but dying. Krikitan was fighting hard for his King Color allies, but he sensed that his lords were prepared to martyr themselves. The original duelists that had dueled prior to this final clash went back to face their opponents one last time. As this was happening, Premier JS had confronted Melissa. And Melissa, also right? Melissa remembered her. No, Maki, my bad. Maki remembered her and said, you're up to JS. You've come so I could finish the job. Prinia said, I did not come for you to finish no job. My job is to avenge my lord. Prepare yourself. And also, Clarence JS also wanted a piece of the action against Maki, my bad. And the two of them faced off against Maki. It did not help Maki having two faces in the back in front of her. She now faced two forces, two opponents, gunning for her head, and now she had to work double time to combat them both. But Prinya and Clarence fought hard against this foe, and Maki was beginning to become overwhelmed. As for Q, he faced the Amalo and De Amalo, who were trying to avenge their fallen Banker allies, and these two fought hard against him, dodging the elemental attacks of Q. Red Nation had turned and transformed himself into a boss warrior and was defeating and slaying enemy troops, breaking their skulls and their necks with his bare fists. Okay, yeah, that was going on. And then Q used his fire abilities to burn up Amalo, and De Amalo to death. While Q was being distracted, his guard was down, finally. And then Ken Colonia, the right hand of Sam R, among the original of the Colonia, used his sword to stab Q in the heart while he's finally vulnerable. This killed Q, the element warrior, but finally being defeated. Also, the floating spear woman, Melissa, was fighting against Wendiel and Jamie Clincolo. The two Clincolo women fought off against this titan of a woman, but they were not deterred from her spear or by her might. They were determined to die and expected to die, but this gave them strength, hope for a better tomorrow, for the future. Although the name of Clincolo militarily rise, will never rise again, the people will be in good hands. And so they sacrificed their lives to defeat Melissa, stunned. Despite giving mortal wounds, they still fought on and was able to slay her and bring this floating woman down personally. But Wendia and Jamie succumbed to the injuries and died in the battlefield. As the war continued on, more developments had occurred. Philando is killed. Philando, the giant general of the Firbean, is killed by the giant swordsman of the Guardian, Homer Guardian. Yeah, sir, die. I say, and then after that, as Calvin Senior and John Johnson continued to fight Milio had enough and has opened a portal and is going to throw a portal towards a lavery, fiery hell dimension. Calvin Senior would not stand a chance in such a dimension. Then John Jace saw it, pushed back some enemies, and pushed Calvin out of the way, and he went into the dimension, saying, "Farewell, my friend. Live on. Defeat the enemy." And John Jace sacrificed himself for Calvin. Calvin was furious and filled with determination and picked up his sword and started going after Milio. And John Johnson did likewise, firing his arrows at Milio as well. Also, Headburn, the quick general, was moving dangerously around the battlefield, slaying allied forces. Booker, the strong warrior of the Clincolo, tried to stop him, but was overcome by the quick attacks of Booker that ruptured his spleen and his internal organs with fast moving fist, killing Booker instantly. Colton, King Colo, the second in command of the King Colo forces, was stunned by this. Then he meant to try to stop Hepburn as revenge. Bohael told Colton, "Distract him, hold him down. I'll use my last of my cannon." And so Bohael got into position and ready to fire at Hepburn. Colton then tried to hold down Hepburn, who was going to do the same thing to Colton. Colton did not let go of Hepburn. Hepburn said, "You fool, let me go." And then Bohair said, "Lord Colton, please move." And he said, "Shoot, shoot, damn it." And then Bohair reluctantly fired the last of his cannon, a major blast shown even from space. That went through Colton, killing him, but went through Hepburn as well, killing him also. So Colton, King Colo, and Hepburn lost their lives at the same time. Bohair was now out of bullets, and only could now fight with his fists. Teary-eyed that he killed his lord, knowing that this was the sacrifice of war. Paul the Imperial, the elite imperial officer of the Colonnina, kills Alvan Yolando, the Grand General of the Firbean, in stunning fashion, almost by accident, after Yolando barely dodged a cannon from the silver excellent ships, and then Imperial sought out plane to kill Alvan. Ah! So this is fair hence for us. Lord Simone, live on. Next, the transforming into beast MacDonald, the fierce general, transformed and killed T. Sherman in an instant, biting them to pieces. General Colin Downs was fighting bravely against enemy troops and saw this. Infuriated by this, he picked up his sword and turned it towards the beast, killing MacDonald, stabbing his heart out of his chest, and jerking his sword out with his heart on the ground. MacDonald died instantly. Duro, the Electricon turned King Colo officer, dies in battle by enemy troops. Decoys of the Guardian and Golden S and Buster of the Colin Daniels forces worked together to slay Benby, the young adopted brother of Simonet, who was levitating their forces up in the sky and killing them in space. They worked together and distract him and overcome Benby by using their anti-gravity boots to make sure that they remained on the ground. Benby did not know about this technology and was soundly defeated by them. Moxie King Colo, after losing his wife and most of his friends and family, fought hard and long against enemy troops, but was killed by enemy cannon fire from the castle. All the allies that were fighting hard and brave against the Firbean in previous duels had won. Avon, Mary, and Jenna. Jenna turned into a big, giant blob woman, was able to crush Aaron and Erica. And Ever Mary took his blaster gun and blasted between the eyes of Taylor, killing him instantly. Taylor looked on, tried to look cool, but died. Pathetic. And Neon PM had lured Raleigh stairs into the cliffs, where a giant pond was. Not the cliffs, sorry. The stream where a pond was, and ousted her fire. Now being no longer filled with demonic power, fire entered instantly. This gave Neophia an opening to finally slice off Raleigh stairs in half, killing her instantly. Shanae Seymour saw this and was rallying to kill her, but Sumi Ball got up and launched one of her cannonballs right in Shanae's face, destroying her face instantly. Shanae, for the first time in battle, had dropped her sword, which she had slain billions with, and collapsed on her knees and then towards her back, defeated, her face forever disfigured, and death had finally claimed her. And as for Yeah, King Colo, Calvin King Colo, used the last bit of energy he had left to summon the energy of all the King Colo into one final blast. Emilio tried to defect it and by teleporting it, but it took great amount of power. This gave John Johnson an opening to launch his final attack, the great, the great blast of Scholastica, where he jumped himself into the blast, going through Emilio and killing Emilio instantly. Father, mother, give me. Emilio died. Kel Blanc was shocked. She was going towards her beloved, but she underestimated the power of Stakona and Imperial and Sharon Imperial. Those two worked together and um, slain Kel Blanc instantly. And then left Kyra, who was going to walk down in space to try and bring back everyone. But her hands were then cut off by the silver destiny of Samar, and with Kyra's hands gone, she can no longer perform her powers. And then Samar kicked Kyra down to the ground and jumped and landed the sword straight between her head, in the head of Kyra, killing her. The elite officers of the first spin were now no more, and only left their massive troops. The allies that remained alive continued to fight on, as Seminet was in the dimensions, trying to go to Elishu to claim hegemony, but Lord Medonia was about to stop him.